International Sales Analysis for Offshore. This is an Acme World presentation. I want to thank you all for being here, and I hope you learned something and enjoy yourself as well. So, good evening. The first thing we're going to talk about is key considerations. This is for, of course, going offshore worldwide. Cost should not be our only consideration in making offshore decisions. Cost, of course, is what usually drives it, but there's a lot of other things to consider, like quality and reliability of labor. We're talking specifically about Vietnam because that is our goal right now. That's the country that we're focused on. Vietnam especially poses a high risk to quality. This can be seen in the country's weak education rating and low levels of experience. These issues must be weighed against the possible gains of cheaper labor in Vietnam. Economic factors, legal framework, and political stability are also important. The quality of life in Vietnam is still not up to par with many other countries. Very low bed to people ratio as far as their hospital, and they have major risk for infections. People visiting there, executives doing business there, that would be definitely important. Vietnam could also be considered a risk because of its problem with corruption. This can make it possible for the company to come under scrutiny from the media, and we all know how that can affect business. So environmentally, it's not really all that much of a challenge. They do have extensive flooding in Vietnam, but with global warming, it seems that almost everywhere has some natural disasters. Process improvement and infrastructure is another consideration. The government in Vietnam controls most of the technology, especially television and broadcasting. The efficiency of the supply chain is very important. Whether your supply chain is efficient or not can cost a lot of money. So here's some things about efficiency. Business procedures to manage internally. We basically have to decide which things are our key business practices and keep those internal. If manufacturing isn't one of them, then that is something that can be outsourced. Flexibility. Spreading production across several markets hedges future investment. So a lot of manufacturing is being done in China, but because of their one-child-only policy, their aging population, they're not as cheap as they used to be. So having your supply chain in several different locations can help with flexibility. It can also help with adaptability. Offshore suppliers make a company more adaptable. If there's a problem in one country, if you have offshore as well as onshore in your supply chain, there's different options. Alignment. To be efficient, you'll need to choose manufacturers whose goals align with your own. So if their goals are to have a lot of different companies and you want them to be focused on you, then this wouldn't be a good alignment. If they want large orders and you are going to fill large orders, that would be an alignment. Creating the supply chain network structure. Adding offshore manufacturers will enhance the vertical dimensions of our supply chain, meaning we'll have a lot of places to go. Developing supply chain business processes. To complete this change properly, we'll need to focus specifically on business processes that will keep quality high. That's one of the key considerations. Managing the supply chain activities. To be successful, we'd have to make a close relationship. Plant inspections, quality monitoring, and goal orientation meetings will need to be done frequently. Primary risks of offshore manufacturing are the risk to efficiency. Outsourcing call centers and customer can lead to dissatisfaction, which is why we're focused mostly on manufacturing overseas. Quality is important, of course, and company culture can seriously be harmed. So outsourcing can lead to a different culture being processed internally. So we've got to make sure that our culture is the most prominent. Benefits are lower costs, obviously. That's what you hear about so much. Greater flexibility, so if there was an issue in one part of the country, we could go towards our offshore. We could get them to up the output easier than we could internally. Hiring is easier there. Greater discipline, they will focus on what we request, and not so much on old goals. Freedom to focus on core business activities. This will allow us to forget about manufacturing and focus more on service. Enhanced experience. This wouldn't be so much in Vietnam right now, but in some areas of the world, they're very focused and already have structures in place. Like, for instance, IT in India. Vietnam specifically. So talking specifically about Vietnam, a lot of companies are moving there now because China has become more expensive, or they would like to diversify their structure. Having places in manufacturing plants in different places helps you be able to diversify. If there's an issue in one part of the world, you can make up for it in other places. It's also cost effective, and the government in Vietnam is very enthusiastic about bringing new business. Well, I hope you learned a lot, as much as I learned putting this together. Here are some of the places that I referenced, so if you wanted to do some extra reading, that would be places you could go. Thank you very much, and you guys have an excellent evening.